there's probably about 975,256 hours of video on YouTube, educated kind of ballpark guess, in which content creators tell you how to make a living off your YouTube channel, make a living off your music, turn your hobby into a career, quit your job, follow your dream. It's probably a less popular genre, the cranky realist who tells you to keep your 9 to 5 because this whole art thing probably isn't gonna pan out. I bet those videos are out there though. How about a take from somebody stuck in the middle, trying to hold on to their ideals on one hand and be pragmatic on the other? For some reason, it seems to me like that might be kind of novel. I don't know. You were tuning into the Era Divide variety moment where creation is the ends and the means. Today, we are going to be talking about the creative impetus and sharing our output. Hey, so what's good? Last video was shot in the IRD Sonic Research Satellite Lab, satellite facility. This is the home base of operations. I'm wearing a less rustly shirt today. Boy, that shirt was loud. It was driving me crazy. Lesson learned. And as opposed to that squeaky old wooden chair, I have my trusty squeaky old metal chair. This is the chair that I make most of my stuff sitting in. In fact, I've sampled this chair, and you can hear these squeaks on a number of my productions. I figured it might be like a little more fitting sitting in where I usually sit than sitting on the couch in the back of the studio. I might keep doing this, or I might keep switching it up every video just to bring some variety into the background and keep you on your toes. You know, I also went a lot longer last time than I thought I would, and it would seem to me like that's gonna happen again. So anyways, up front, to be clear, none of these videos are supposed to be advice pieces or how-tos or anything like that. I am clearly not a successful artist by most sets of metrics. This is just me sharing my thoughts and feelings on issues that matter to me, because I do make stuff. Some of it's cool, I think, but more relevantly, my creative life is now, and for most of my existence, has been paramount. All right, so I left off at the end of the last video with a question, which is why bother trying to crack the algorithm, get in front of people? Why do I care if people like my art or see my art? And to a lot of people, it seems obvious, like, duh, the whole point is to get your stuff out there. It's not something that's really dug into, but why? To be famous? To make money? Is that why I make things? I can't blindly pursue an audience without wondering, why do I need an audience? Do I even want an audience? And why do I create? I've had younger people in the throes of like a what am I doing with my life crisis seek counsel from me. I still don't have the answer to those questions myself. Those are personal forks in the road, and there is no right or wrong answer, but talking things through and getting outside perspective can help. I feel like the assumption that every artist wants to be a superstar is a given in a lot of people's minds. And off the bat, just to be clear, I don't have a problem with people making a living from their creative pursuits at all. There were times in my life where I thought that's what I wanted, and there are still days where I think about it. I'm not some total purist that's gonna die on the hill of like money ruined art or anything like that. The attraction that being a creative professional holds for me personally is the notion that if I would be able to spend a majority of my time creating. One of my main beefs with a day job is that I'm always thinking about how much further I would be if I had that 40 some hours a week to focus on my craft. Thing is, I think that notion is a fallacy to a large extent, because being a financially successful artist requires a large time commitment to things that aren't making art. All the things it takes to run a small business. That's if you're a successful indie. If you're famous, they got you booked up, and I'm too low-key for that to be my scene. I don't think I would like it. I want to be left alone to create with nobody to please but myself, and that's not super realistic. When I first started making music, I had a domain, digitalcorruption.com, and I used to make albums, compress the MP3s or FLACs, whatever, and I would put them on my site as zip files for people to download for free. I was using the alias ASDF at the time, and I don't know, a dozen plus albums, 4 or 5, like, shot it on my Handycam music videos. This was all pre-SoundCloud, Bandcamp, YouTube, or even Facebook or any of that stuff. And at that point in time in my development as an artist, I probably should have been keeping this shit to myself. Like, it's not great, most of it bad, even, we could say. I think that's, fair. Not good. How about that? But I didn't care. Didn't have any aspirations or expectations. I wasn't trying to make money. I was just a teen. I made music and I put it on my website. That's what I did for fun. At some point, and I don't remember why exactly, but I stopped doing that. I think I started wanting to be really good. And for about 7 or 8 years, I tried to learn as much as I could and make as much as I could, but I kept everything to myself. It was all private. I made stuff for me. Around about 2012, I caved to social pressures to start sharing again. All I cared about was making music. It was all I did, all I talked about, to the point that I'm sure it drove everyone crazy. And everyone around me kept saying, you need to put your stuff out there. You need to start sharing. Where can I find it? Where can I listen to it? Why aren't you playing live? It was relentless and constant from literally everybody I knew. And in 2013, the E-Rod Divide went public. ix-ra.com, this channel, my Bandcamp, my SoundCloud, my IG, I got on social media basically. I'm telling you the history of me sharing the stuff I make because I want to discuss why I share now. Back in the day, as a kid, I shared because it was a thing to do. Make art, give it away. To be honest, I don't know if I deeply considered my motivations at the time. And when I first launched E-Rod, I was kind of cluelessly floundering at trying to market and promote myself without having really any idea what I was doing, without having a solid goal, which is still more or less the case essentially, except maybe I try a little less and I'm less emotionally invested. These days I feel pretty confident that I can answer the question why I create. I think it's partly a deep-rooted desire to communicate and express myself. The primary reason is because the flow state that I enter when creating is the only time that I actually experience contentment. It's meditation. It brings me closer to source, however you want to say it. I could sit alone here in my studio programming synthesizer patches for 70% of my waking life and be perfectly content. There's probably some other motivations mixed in. I'd be lying if I said that external social validation was not a factor at all. But I think it's a pretty accurate assessment to say that those first two reasons are really the gist of it. And I don't want to lose sight of that. One thing that's helped fortify me is receiving confirmation from other artists whose opinions I respect. One kudo from somebody I look up to is worth a dozen from randos, but ultimately that's still a stopgap because the most important source of approval and the only one that's actually sustainable is from yourself. If you can achieve self-validation and for the right reasons of growth and commitment and intention and ethic, then you're golden. I'm working on getting there. And I think it snowballs once you're grounded and not seeking outside approval. Confidence carries so many people so far. I honestly want to do a whole talk about confidence and its like levels and trappings at some point. It's a whole entire wormhole. One fear of mine has always been that in an effort to commodify my passions, I will taint them. Even without trying to monetize, it can be a challenge to protect your art from outside forces. I might be able to logically see through the various social and cultural pressures, but that doesn't mean that I'm impervious to them. We live in a society that places fiscal value above everything and equates it with inherent value. The thought process is along the lines of, if this art was good, it would make money. If it doesn't make money, it's not good art. Or the same with fame and acclaim. If it was worthwhile, people would be paying attention to it. But since it's not well known or popular, then it's obviously not good. Very few people are willing to be the first to invest their attention in something. And I mean, understandably, there's so much stuff out there now. You can't open Instagram without being barraged by 10,000 sponsored ads. 99 out of 100 are mediocre at best, and most of it is absolute drivel. But whatever, because I don't want to be famous. So if I'm not in it for the money and I'm not in it for the clout, then why am I posting shit online and like half-ass trying to promote it? In a word, accountability. By being public with my projects, it is a little bit more pressure to follow through and not just do what I say I'm gonna do and finish what I say I'm gonna finish, but also hold myself to the standard that I set forth. I put albums out in order to put them to rest. Once it's up, it's done, I wash my hands of it and move forward. All of my projects are milestones in my life that have value for me, and I want that to always be my focus. It would be cool if people that would appreciate it found it, and I know those people are out there, but I don't want to make gaining attention my drive any more than I want to make profit my drive. I just want to do me and enjoy the process and the journey, because destinations are fleeting. I mean, I know I'm nice with it. I make some fire shit occasionally and some not so fire shit. It's all a process. I am misanthropic and introverted and all the things that make it extremely challenging to self-promote and network. I have no interest in playing live shows. Why would I want to be in a noisy environment with a bunch of probably drunk people, putting wear on my gear, potentially risking it being damaged or stolen, to rehash old songs when I could be here alone in my studio, peacefully zenned out, making new songs? It's like a no-brainer to me. It's just how I feel. So if I don't want to play that game by their rules, and I don't want to really go hard trying to beat my own trail on a self-promotion, marketing, publicity front, then what do I do with my life? I work a job and make art on the side. People have a hard time accepting that too, though, like from both sides. At one end of the spectrum, it might be seen as selling out or giving up on your dreams. On the other end of the spectrum, really holding on to making art as like part of your identity might be seen as not growing up and still playing like wannabe producer on the weekends or whatever. They'll scoff behind your back. Shoot, there will always be as many takes and judgments on how you live your life as there are people on the planet. You can't sweat that. Obviously, I sweat it a little bit, or I wouldn't even bring it up. It's just something that has to be navigated. I'm mainly talking about it now in case that resonates with you. It's just confirmation, you know. I've personally known many talented artists that toiled in obscurity. I'm sure we all have. It's glamorized oftentimes, right? The starving artist or whatever. It's a cliche, but There's nothing glamorous about living in the modern world without healthcare or a steady paycheck. Like, it sucks. Even if you did win the successful creator lotto by having the winning combination of timing, luck, connections, startup money, skill, dedication, and etc., will it sustain you through a lifetime without diversifying your income streams? Like, it's risky. To be brutally honest, half the artists I know that shied away from a career or even holding down a steady job for the sake of keeping art their main focus fall into some strange rut where they don't actually accomplish much. Some of the most prolific creators I know have jobs or full-blown careers. I think it has something to do with being forced to manage the time that you do have more effectively. Like, if you spend Monday through Friday at the office or whatever thinking about how you'd rather be writing poetry, then whatever chunk of free time you do have, you're really driven to utilize it and get the most out of it. I know when I was working part-time to like focus on my music, which makes me cringe now to think about it, and people used to have to put up with me saying that. I'm sure I was obnoxious as hell. Realistically, I spent most of my days just like taking bong rips and watching anime, telling myself it was part of my process. A slight side tangent, I also see some aspiring artists taking this mentality of all or nothing as like a badge. I've literally had people say they don't have time to associate with me because I'm not, quote, serious enough. Like, I haven't put all the chips on the table to back myself into some like blow up or bust corner. Typically, I say this type of cat flipping trite beats, chasing trends in order to make money. Maybe they getting paid, probably not. And to tell someone like me that I'm not serious about my art because I'm not making money from it, yo, I'm 20 years into doing my thing with consistency, and that is a testament. Money doesn't make you real. This whole thing might seem semantical or trivial to a lot of people. I imagine if you're watching this, if you've gotten this far into the video, you relate to it. I think it's the sort of thing that is important and a struggle for most creative types in any field. I know it's a topic that's kept me chasing my tail for most of my life, and it should go without saying that obviously this is all just subjective, my opinion and my experience based on my circumstances. Maybe if I had come up in a scene or if I was a more social person, I would be singing a different tune, like who knows. All my pursuits have always been pretty solitary for the most part. I know a lot of artists that don't even go there with their stuff. They put food on the table, however, and art is just, a hobby. I kind of hate that word, hobby, though. I feel like even if you could classify it as that, it doesn't give enough weight to the meaning that this stuff has to us, to me, and I think to a lot of artists and creators. Like, creativity is a sacred thing. But yeah, these other people I've seen do the day job route, the trap they fall into that I personally have managed to avoid so far is essentially just petering out, giving up eventually, and then they put it down and 20 years go by and it's just like a thing I used to do when I was younger, but life happens and I don't have time for it anymore, and it just falls by the wayside. And like, never that. Hell no. If I make it to 90, I'm gonna be in my front porch in a rocker dropping fire verses left and right. It's gonna be wild. I've had positive artist role models, but I've also had a lot of negative artist role models. People who showed me a path that I definitely didn't want to take. I've seen a lot of people struggle financially in their relationships in all kinds of different ways because they couldn't let go of the dream that big break was around the corner somewhere. And like, that shit is sad and hard to witness. I know some artists that stick to the extreme of not sharing anything ever. Entire guest bedrooms full of finished canvases that have never been seen by another set of eyes. And I can respect that, but also it can be nice to share, and sharing can really help you grow and progress. We have all these tools for sharing, so why not use them and share? It is tricky though, a slippery slope if you start over investing in public perception, or if it changes the way that you create in such a way that it's less fulfilling for you. I don't know. Okay, I could keep rambling about this subject for hours. I'm gonna just cut myself off here. This is as good a place as anywhere. Pick it up in the comments, or maybe come back to this later. But for real, give me some feedback if you have thoughts or opinions on the matter. If you think I've missed something crucial, or if you think I have a defeatist attitude in regards to making a living off of creativity, or if you think what I'm saying is practical. How do you feel about monetizing art? How do you feel about working a day job and the concept of like keeping your art pure? Again, all the music in the background of this video is old projects. I'll link in the description. Word. Until next time, remember, all time is an illusion, all matter is imaginary, and creation is the whole entire purpose. Peace. Dissolve. Continue to remain. I'm in the middle of my work week right now, and it dawned on me that I want to touch on the fact that there are perks about working a day job that tie back into the subject of the last video about being well-rounded and diverse interests. If you hate your job and you're like stuck at the 9-to-5 grind that wears you down, probably don't do that. Like, what's the point? Life is short. But there are things that I get out of having a job. It forces me to get out of the house and be social. Without that paycheck dangling in front of me, I would be a hermit completely. Many of the jobs I've had, including my current job, are quite physical, and I've never been a gym person, so it forces me to exercise, get some sun in my life. I play these frame games with myself. If it's time to dig a hole, I grab a shovel and I'm like, okay, I'm getting paid to work out right now. Like, it's good for me to break a sweat. And if I have to go into some meeting that I don't want to go into, I'm like, okay, I'm getting paid to sharpen my social skills. This is practice right now. My current job also has some perks that come with it in terms of tools alone. There's a wood shop, a laser engraver. The access that I have to a lot of the tools that we have at work has enabled me to make all kinds of stuff that I would not have had the opportunity to make otherwise, which is sweet. But yeah, you know, it ain't all, I feel like the picture gets painted in extremes so often of like, you're at the job you hate that wears you down and makes you stupid and dulls your senses, and you're abandoning the dream of whatever, and you're doing it all for a paycheck. But rarely are things so black and white, right? There's not like a dark path and a light path. There's myriad meandering paths that are sometimes wooded and sometimes, you know, sunny. After shooting this video, I've been thinking about it this week and wanted to explicitly state I in no way am trying to like dissuade anybody from following their dreams or pursuing their passions. Not trying to rain on anybody's parade, just speaking about my personal decisions. If you want to pursue a career as a creative professional, there's lots of opportunities and lots of people do it. More power to you. Like, go for it. Either you're gonna do it or you're gonna learn for yourself, and nothing I say is gonna matter. So I guess in a nutshell, what I was kind of getting at is more so acknowledging that all or none mentality doesn't need to be applied. It's sort of like the extreme dichotomy that we turn this into, either ourselves or culturally it's a thing that happens. The notion that you need to either chase your dreams all out, quit the 9-to-5, and be the starving artist or entrepreneur in your garage eating ramen in order to make it blow up. I think a lot of people have realized that you don't have to be a superstar to make a living, a modest living off your art. And more people do that every day. But I'd like us to go a step further than that and realize that you don't have to make any money off your art. And just because you don't choose to try to turn your art into a career doesn't mean your art should have any less significance or value for you personally in your life. It's just another example of needing to realize there's no need to conform any aspect of your identity to the expectations of people around you or cultural norms or whatever.